Hello and welcome to the Glasses for Missions training video. My name is Scott Love and I'm the Ministry Coordinator for Glasses for Missions. Today I'm going to show you how to make a pair of eyeglasses. I'm also going to show you how to perform an eye test on an individual. For more information you can visit us on the web at glassesformissions.org. Thanks for joining us. So let's quickly talk about what comes in a kit when you order it. When you first open the box, first thing you're going to come to probably is the eye test. You should have one of these in there. I say one because two pieces actually make one eye test. So it's going to be wrapped up, nicely packed in plastic. You got one of those. You're also going to come across your PVC. What this is, it's just little PVC that goes on the end of the wire. Should have one roll of that. You're going to have a bag of tools on top of the jig or around the jig. This bag contains 4 pieces. It's going to contain your bender. It's going to contain the file. It's going to contain what we call a scraper. And then also going to contain your really nice vice grip pliers that are going to cut your wire nicely. Also on that top level, you're going to have a saw to cut your lens. You're going to have the clamp. And what the clamp does is it clamps the jig down. You should have a wooden jig. There's also going to be a piece of plastic that the jig goes on top of. In addition, you'll have a sandpaper to sand your lenses. You're going to have an instruction manual that goes into all the detail of what we're doing today. You're going to have 2 boxes. One of the boxes is going to say ear wire, and you're going to have another box and it says frame on it. So you got 1 box of ear wire, 1 box of frame wire, and then at the very bottom you'll have a box of all your lenses. The very last thing you should have in there is a sample pair of glasses. It goes in, actually, you can look at those if you need reference on how to make the glasses or have any questions. You have a little sample pair in there. And we'll go into detail later on in the video, each one of these, how it all works and how to use it. So first we're going to talk about the eye test. The eye test consists of 2 boards. Each board has 6 sets of lenses in them. In each board you have the different powers. This first board starts with +1 and goes up to +2.25. The second board starts at +2.50 and goes up to +4.0. You'll also notice on the eye test, the card actually has the 2 evangelism explosion diagnostic questions, which is great. That's the reason why we're doing this. We want to get eyeglasses to people, but more importantly, we want to share the gospel with them. And that is the purpose of what we're doing. So first I'm going to talk about how to position the person's eyes correctly in the eye test. What you want to do is make sure that their eyes are directly in the eyepieces, just like this. You don't want it slanted this way. You don't want it out there. There's a tendency, especially out in the field, when people, they want to hold it out like this. You want to make sure it's right on their eyes because that's where the glasses are going to be. In addition, you want to make sure this is all the way out. This string here is the exact length that it needs to be away from their eyes. So hold that all the way out. Again, there is a tendency, people will do like this because they're so used to adjusting what they're reading for their eyes. So it's important that whoever's doing the eye test, they're holding it out all the way to the end of the string, just like that. When you do that, that'll give the correct distance so that you can get the correct power for their eyes. In addition to that, when you start doing the eye test, performing the eye test, you want to start with +1. Always start with the lowest power, and then you're going to move up gradually. So hold it out in their eyes just like this, and you got +1, go up to +1.25, and you're going to ask them as you go up, is it clear or is it more clear? And then as you go up, it might get clearer and clearer for them, and pretty soon if you go all the way, as you're going up, you might get so high and it starts getting blurry for them. And that means that you got too much power on their eyes and you want to back off a little bit. It's a trial and error process. Once you get to the correct clarity, then that's the power they're going to need, and you're going to get them a pair of glasses. In this section, we're going to be talking about bending the front of the frame. First thing you're going to need to do is get your jig, and you're also grab your piece of rubber or plastic that goes underneath the jig. You place that down on the table just like that. put your jig on top. Next, you're going to grab your clamp, undo the clamp, and you're going to clamp the jig to the table. You'll notice on this side of the jig there's a hole here. That's where that clamp goes. It goes right in there just like that, and then you clamp it down to the table. So watch me here and I will do that. And there you go. So the jig is nice and tight on the table, not going to move around while you're bending it. Next you want to do is get a piece of the frame wire out of your frame box. We're going to find the center of the wire. You can do that two ways. First way is you can put it along this side of the jig where this piece of metal is. That length, you put the wire inside, and right along the length of that, right here, the end of this is where the center of the wire is. So you can grab it right there, or if you want to, you can put it in the metal piece of the jig at the end here and balance it, and that's also the center. It doesn't have to be exact, just approximate. So once you find the center of the wire, you place it in this first notch of the jig, and then you're going to take it and you're going to bend these two pieces of wire all the way to the left 90 degrees. So just like this, and make sure also you're under that pin. And to make those bends very, very straight, I usually take the pliers and we're going to squeeze it just like that. One of the things I want to say at this point as we make our first bends is you always want to make sure your bends are very tight. Don't ever grab your wires way out and try to bend them like this, because what that does is it creates very round bends, not sharp bends. And it's not good for the glasses, and they're not going to turn out very well. So it takes a little bit more effort to grab the wire up close and bend it really, really tight so you have those sharp bends, but it's worth it. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take the bender. It's a piece of wood. It's got little screws all over it. You can see here, tiny ones everywhere, and those are all put in there for a specific purpose. What we're going to do now is specifically we want to pay attention to the little hole here on the end and that tiny little screw. So we got the little hole and that tiny screw, and we're going to take this piece of metal right here and we're going to put it in that hole, just like that. And then we're going to see this piece of the piece of wire. We're going to bend it 180 degrees all the way around. Twist it just like this. All right. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. So we'll push this piece of metal here all the way out, and we're going to put it in this small hole, and then we're going to make that 180 degree bend all the way around. Should do it. Usually I just take the pliers and just push them under there and gets it off just like that. Okay? Next thing you want to do is underneath this area right here, you see there's two little notches. They're on both sides of the jig. So we're going to take this right here with this curve up, and we're going to insert it right into that area, and then you bend your wires out. Remember, keep it tight, keep those bends really tight. You're going to put them out just like that, and you pull it out, and it should look something like this. Next, grab your pliers, put it in. Make sure when you're putting it in your pliers, it's not in the tapered part, and it's not in this part right here. You'll notice that's going to cut your wire, and you don't want to do that right now, this circular part. So make sure it's right in that little area where it's flat. You're going to grab it, and you're going to bend it all the way to where it's straight. Put it on the other side, and do it the other side just so, and make sure, let's see here. So should have something that looks just like that. So all the way across, just so, just straight, very nice. And then next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your the front of the nose piece. This is the nose piece, just like that in the front, and you're going to put it right back where you had it before. In that little area underneath this metal piece, and you're going to bend this side. Do not bend this side, just the left side that you're facing the jig. You're going to do just like this, and like I said before, don't grab it out here. You want to grab it up really close and make sure that bend is really nice and sharp. Pull it out, flip it over just like that. You're going to same thing. Put that nose piece right underneath that piece of metal, and you're going to do the other side. Nice sharp bends. So then you got something that looks like that. You'll notice I'll kind of hold it out to the camera here. So we got an area that's here nice and straight, and this area right here that sticks out, that's your nose piece. I'm going to put them on so you can kind of get an idea of where we're at, okay? So next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the metal, make sure your nose piece right here is facing up. So facing up, and your two wires here are facing to your left, and you're going to put it right in. This area right here is going to go right in that first notch again, and you're going to get it underneath that pin, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our wooden bender again, and we're going to use that to make those bends that I showed you just a second ago. This little hole here, we're going to take that and put this metal piece in it just like we did before, and get that screw right underneath that wire. You want to hold this down right here to make sure that you keep this bend nice and straight. So hold this side down, and then we're going to twist it around just like so, all the way around. And then now what you want to do is you want to pull that out just like that, and we're going to do the opposite side. Push that toggle over just like that, and then same thing, this little hole here is going to go right here, and put that screw underneath that wire like we did on the other side, and we'll hold this down actually like this so you can see it, and twist that 180 degrees all the way around, and that's that. You'll notice that the frame it's always symmetrical. We start in the center. Anything that happens on one side happens the opposite way on the other side. If you look at that, this one comes that way, that one comes that way. So if you just remember that, everything is symmetrical. If you're going to do it to one side, always do it to the other. You'll get a good pair of glasses. So once you have that done, you have that 180 degrees done that way, you'll pull them out, okay? And with the nose piece facing to the right, okay? Remember, this is the nose piece sticking out. That's going to face the right. You're going to put this end of the glasses in the end of the metal piece of the jig right here, okay? And it goes in. There's a little notch. This round piece right here, there's a little notch that goes on top of. You put that on it just like that, okay? It should fit in there nicely. And we're going to take this piece here and bend it 180 degrees all the way around to the other side. Remember, make sure your bends are sharp. I cannot reiterate that enough. So once you get it over there, you pick it up, keeping the nose piece to the right, and you're just going to do a quick 180 degree flip over like that. Same thing, this round piece right here is going to fit nicely on the middle of that metal piece there, and do another 180 degrees. Pull it out, and that's the front of your frame. In this section, we're going to be talking about how to make the earpieces. First, what you want to do is grab the earpiece wire, and you're going to find two pieces that are pretty similar in length. You can put them on the table just like this, and grab a couple that are pretty close in length. If they're not exact, not a big deal. All you have to do is put them on the table like that, and you can just take a quick clip like this. One of the things too is you want to keep your hand over when you're clipping the wires, because these little pieces, when they come out of those pliers, they could actually hit somebody in the eye and actually injure them. So just make sure for safety purposes you keep that covered up. You clip them like that, and then they're the same length, okay? So we got a couple pieces of couple earpieces that are the same length. The first thing we're going to do is grab our PVC here, and we're going to cut a couple of pieces for the ear frame here. In between the jig, these two boards in the middle, that's the length of the earpieces. So from here to here, you put the earpiece on one end and you cut it. It doesn't have to be exact. Clip it like that, and then you can grab the end here once you got one of them cut, and just make sure that they're the same length, just like this, and cut. So now we got two pieces that are the same length. Okay, grab our earpieces one at a time. We're going to put the PVC on the end of the earpiece, okay? And sometimes the machine that we have in the shop that actually cuts the wire, it's not a really sharp cut, it just kind of clips them. So you might have a little bit of a burr on the end of it that'll keep this PVC from going on. I just now clipped the ends of them, so I know it's going to go on, but I do want to mention that. Always be aware, if something's not quite fitting right or going on the end, just clip the end of that wire, and or look for a burr first and then clip the end of it, and it should be going on pretty good after that. So once you get the PVC on the end of the wire, you notice one end of the wire is stamped and one end of the wire is not. You want to put the PVC on the end that's not stamped. Once you get it on that end, you push it over the stamp, and that stamp is what holds the piece of PVC onto the wire, just like that. Okay, we'll go ahead and do the second one here. This is the stamped end, and this is the end without the stamp. We're going to start just like this. Get that on there, whoops. There we go. And kind of, if you turn it as you're putting it on there, like spin it, that usually helps it quite a bit. So just like that. And then you're going to push it over that stamp just like that. Push, push, and then get it right at the end. And then you got your two pieces of wire just like that. Grab one piece, and again, we're doing this in the pliers. Don't use the tapered end, and make sure you don't put it in the end that you're cutting with. You want to get it right in that flat area, the end without the PVC, non-stamp, and put it right to the end of the pliers, the width of the pliers in that flat area, and make a bend. You don't want it not quite 90 degrees. You want it just under 90 degrees. See, it's not quite square. You want to do that for both of them, just like this. Grab it again. I'm going to reiterate, don't grab the wire out here. Always grab it up close and do a quick bend just like that. Not quite 90 degrees. So you got the two just like that. All right, so what you want to do now is you're going to grab a piece of your scrap wire. This wire is usually extra. Once you start making glasses, you're going to have quite a few of these. Grab one of them, and you're going to insert it into the hole that's furthest away from you, okay? And again, if it doesn't go in that hole, just clip off the end a little bit, and it should go right in there. Make sure that when you put it in that it's all the way down. You can grab your pliers and just kind of bang on it and make sure that it's all the way down in there. You got to make sure that it's completely down in that hole. So grab one of your earpieces just like this, and you're going to put it in the opposite hole, okay? Just like that. And again, make sure that it's all the way down in there. You don't want it sticking up at all, because that will cause problems. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab our wooden bender here. The wooden bender, it's the one with the screws all over it. The part we're going to be using is right on the flat side here. There's two little screws. There's also in the center, there's a little piece of metal, stainless steel inside of that. And we're going to place that right over this wire that's sticking up. Right over the center, and push it all the way down just like that. And we're going to take this and we're going to spin it clockwise. One earpiece, you're going to use the clockwise motion, and for the other earpiece, when we start that one, we're going to use counterclockwise. Doesn't matter which one you do first, as long as you do both. So what we'll do is you move it around until it stops, just like that, and then we're going to bring it over to what I like to call the 0 point. There's an imaginary, what I like to imagine is a wall right here, and that's where our 0 point stops. So we're going to push the wire evenly on both sides, all around like that, so it's even with this part of the jig. So the earpiece stops right there, and then we're going to make 5 revolutions all the way around, and we'll start here at 0, and you want to keep this push down and level. You don't need to put too much pressure on it. It'll guide itself automatically. You just need to spin it. So we'll go. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Another thing you'll need to notice, even if I bring this back there, the earpiece back to 0, it's going to want to push back a little bit, and you want to make sure that you're going to have to bring it past 0 just a little bit, and that'll make sure that it stops right at 0. You see there? Right at 0. So we'll pull that one off. There's one of our earpieces. Grab the other one here. So we did that one clockwise, so we're going to do this one counterclockwise. Grab that once again, put that piece right in the center over it, and we're going to turn it around until it stops, just like we did that other one. And we'll bring it to this point right here, where the 0 point. And That's 0, and we'll do 5 revolutions. This time I'm just going to use, I normally like to use one hand. Sometimes people find it easier to do it with 2 hands, and that's fine. But for me, one hand is easier. I just use my finger just to spin it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Remember to bring that a little bit past that 0 point so it gets right where it needs to be. And you should have another nice coil. Right here, got a little bit of a gap right there. So I'm just going to take my pliers and squeeze that just like that. So now we have one right ear piece and one left ear piece, okay? Next thing we want to do is we're going to clip off this piece here that extends out, okay? What I like to do is you put it in the cutting part of it. Make sure you're inside this cutting part of the pliers, and you flat up against the wire just like that. So it's going straight up, the wire is going straight up, and this piece is kind of going into the pliers. I'll show you from this angle like that. And you want to make sure that if it's in this flat part, you're not going to get the cut. So you want to make sure that move it back far enough so you can cut it, and you're not going to, the pliers aren't going to get stopped because that wire is actually in this flat part. And I'll show you what I mean here, just like this. So if you got it way up, you're going to squeeze and squeeze, and it's not going to snap, and you're going to be frustrated. Just push it all the way back like that, all the way back at the end, and then when you squeeze, just like that, it'll cut right off. And that's what you want right there, just that tiny little, you don't want to cut it too short. If you cut it too short, you're going to have to start all over again. Just enough to where that burr is sticking out. And then to know that you've cut it the right length, you can put it in this hole right here. This hole is specifically for that. You put it in there. If it fits, if you got a little piece sticking out and it still fits in this hole, you just stick it all the way in there. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create the bend that goes behind the ear. So we do it. Bend it just like that, and there's the right ear piece. So now we're going to go on this one. Same thing on this one, except this one's pointing down instead of up on the pliers, but it's the same exact position. Put it in there just like so. You're going to squeeze it, and you got a little burr there. You put it in here. If it doesn't fit, you may have a little bit too much on there, and all you do, just clip off a little bit at a time. Don't clip off a bunch more, because then it'll ruin it and you're going to have to start all over again, like I said. So put it in here just like so. Make sure it's flat. Make that bend just like that. You can grab them both, put them up against each other, and make sure that they both look the same, and they do. Looks really, really good. And those are your earpieces. So what we're going to do now is we're going to connect the earpieces to the front of the frame, okay? The way that we do this is, first of all, you want to make sure your glasses are in the correct, or the front of the frame is in the correct position. This is the front. Remember, the nose piece kind of sticks out there. That's your front. So this is how the glasses are going to sit on their face. So just like this, all right? So what you want to do is you want to take that and you want to flip it right upside down. Make sure your nose piece is pointing away from you or outside of the frame. Okay, you grab it just like that, and you can pick up either one of your earpieces. The only thing that you have to remember is this, is that the coil on the earpiece, first of all, that it's upside down. This is right side up. You're going to turn this upside down also, because the frame is. And the coil on the earpiece always goes to the inside of the frame. So just like that. And also the little point where you cut off the excess wire always points to the middle of the frame. So we're going to take that and put it over the end of that just like that. So it's going to look like that. And if you get one side right, the good news is you're always going to get the other one right too. So make sure that coil is on the inside of the frame, and that point where you cut off the excess wire is pointing to the inside of the frame, right over that. One of the things I want to point out here too is that these right here, sometimes you get little burrs on these ends of the wire, and it's hard to get those coils over it. All you got to do, like I said before and earlier in the video, is just clip that in just like that. Make sure your hand's over it so you don't poke anybody's eye out or injure anybody on both those sides, and then they should slip over there just fine. Okay, so right now here's where we're at. So if I were to take these and flip them over, just so you have an idea of where we're at, this it goes just like that. That's the front of the frame. These are the earpieces. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make the hinge for the frame or the glasses. This is very, very important part, and it's very important that it's done correctly. If you don't do it correctly, you're going to have to start all over again, and I know that you don't want to do that, and I don't want you to have to do that. So what you do is you close the frame. This is the front of the frame pointing out this way. This is your earpiece. You want to close it in just like that. You can kind of grab it with your other hand, and you're going to take your pliers. You're going to grab the coil. You don't want to grab too much of it like this. Don't grab that. You want just the end of it, just like that. And also notice the frame is loose in there. It's not, I don't have a hold of the frame anywhere except the coil. That's all I have a hold of. Grab it like that. Make sure that's loose in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our pointer finger and put it up underneath the frame like that and push it up in there as far as we can get it. I mean, as hard as you can. Then, so make sure it's tight, and then you're going to take your thumb right here and you're going to bend that wire just like that, okay? So now you have a really, really, really tight hinge there, okay? So now we're going to turn the glasses around just like that. So now the nose piece is facing that way. Grab your pliers again. This time you're going to have to reach around the frame, okay? Reach around the frame and grab that coil just like that. I'm going to point out again, you'll notice the frame is loose. I don't have a hold of the frame in any way. So that's completely loose. I just have a hold of that coil, and notice I don't have it way up here. I've got it just right on the end, grabbing it like that. You want to push that all the way up in there with that pointer finger just like that, and then you grab your thumb and you're going to bend it that way. So make sure that's tight before you bend it, and bend it just like that. So now we got a really, really tight hinge. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut off all this excess wire right here. And the way that you do that, make sure when you're clipping it off, put your pliers right in there just like that. And you're going to clip off the same, just a little bit less than the length of the coil. Okay? So right about, you kind of see that right about there, just like that. And then this piece of excess wire, this is the excess I was speaking about earlier in the video. This is going to be used to make the coils from now on. You have quite a bit of this excess. So save that, don't throw it away. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and go to the other side and cut that length of the coil right about there. So you got another piece of excess right there. So what we're going to do now is you want to grab your glasses. They're upside down. This is the way they are right side up. So we're going to keep them upside down. You want to grab the glasses, and you're going to close the earpiece in like this, and you'll see this is kind of still sticking out, and we're going to close that hinge, all right? On the pliers, there's a little notch here, and then also on the other side right here. Those are notches that we add to the pliers in the shop, and it's specifically for this purpose. Once you close the glasses, one of the notches, you're going to grab the bottom of the coil like that, and the other notch grabs the top of that piece of wire. And once you get those two pieces in the notch, if you squeeze just like that, it's going to close that gap, and you have a hinge just like this. Okay, and that stops. Okay, all you got to do on the next one, close it just like we did the other one, and remember it's upside down. We're going to use one notch to grab the bottom of the coil just like that, and the other notch is going to grab the top of that wire, and we're going to bend it just like so. Okay. So the reason we want to make sure that the hinge is very, very tight is this little point here on the coil. Actually, it stops on the piece that we bent up, or that's bent up here. And if that piece is not, if the hinge is not tight and it's not bent correctly, the earpiece won't stop. It's just going to keep moving all the way around. And making sure that this stops like this, you should be able to put quite a bit of pressure on that, and it's not clicking or not coming undone. Because what's going to happen is when we do the adjustments, we're going to bend this a little bit, and it creates a tight fit to their face, and it's very, very important. So if you get the hinge wrong and it's not tight, you're going to have to start over again. So make sure you do that hinge really, really, really tight. So in this section, we're going to talk about cutting the lens and inserting the lens into the frame. This is your lens. You have a box of these in your kit. One thing I want to point out about the lens is on each lens you have a little tab that sticks out here. And on the tab it actually tells you what power is the lens. Sometimes it's hard to see, but if you hold it up to a light, you can actually see it pretty clearly. Some of the lenses have it written completely out. If it's a 1.5, it's positive 1.5, and then some of the lenses actually have only two numbers. If it says 1.5, then we know it's 1.5. If it says 2.2, then we know it's 2.25. And then some of them, of course, will have it written out as 2.25. It's pretty simple, but I think you guys, it's pretty easy to figure out. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the lens and we're going to cut it. We're going to put it into the jig. On the back side of the jig, there's a little bolt. Little wing nut. If you a bolt and a wing nut, if you open up that wing nut, it's gonna open up the jig a little bit so that the lens can fit in there. If you have a thicker lens, sometimes it won't quite fit in the lens, and what I do is I take my pliers and put them in. There's a gap right here in the center of the jig. If you just put the pliers in that gap and twist them a little bit, that gives you just the room that you need to fit it down into the jig, and you can lift that up and it'll fit right in there. So if you're a right-handed, what you're going to do is you're going to take the tab and put it on the right side, or if you're left-handed, you're going to take that tab and put it on the left side over here, just like that. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to start just like this. Put that all the way down in there, make sure it's tight. After you put the lens in the jig, you're going to tighten this bolt right here. You don't want to tighten it too tight, just enough to where it holds that lens in place. Got your saw here. One of the things I'll point out about the saw is that it is a pull saw. So when you're pulling on the saw, you're going to cut more. You'll notice when I push it on my finger, nothing's happening, but when I turn it the other direction, it grabs a hold. So it is a pull saw. The first cut you're going to make, as I'm right-handed, is going to be on the right side. If you're left-handed, the tab's going to be over here, and you're going to make the first cut in this right here on the left side. So we'll do this here. And on a new jig, that cut right there is really tight, so you may have to kind of work it down in there a little bit. And we'll cut this lens. So when you're done there, you have a little piece of the tab. One of the things I want to point out is you want to keep a hold of this tab, especially if you have a big group of people making all kinds of lenses and frames. You want to make sure that you keep the tab with your lens or with your frame that you're making individually, so that you know what the power is. Because if you have this and if you lose this, it's really hard to tell what power you have. So this is very, very important. If you're making one pair of the glasses at a time, one thing you can do is there's a little hole on the end of that, if you can see it, and that'll actually fit right over the end of the frame. You kind of have to work it on there a little bit, and it can go all the way up to the top, just like that. And that way, you have it stuck on there, so you know what it is. And you might cut off the little circle that tells you what it is up top, so you can actually cut off the excess, just like that. So now you know what your glasses are going to be. All right? So we'll go back to making the lens here. This flat side right here was facing over here. We're going to turn it 90 degrees, just like this. On the top of the jig, there's two little wooden pegs. This flat side goes underneath those wooden pegs. So once you put the lens underneath those wooden pegs, you might not be able to fit it in the circumference of the circle here. Do the same thing, grab your pliers, put them in the middle of the jig and kind of twist a little bit, and that'll give you the room that you need right in there. And that's actually a tight fit. Then you want to tighten down that wing nut. Just hand tighten it. Whatever you do, don't use the pliers to tighten it because you'll ruin the threads, and it's not going to be a good thing. So just hand tighten it, and that gets it down tight enough. Your next cut, it doesn't matter if you're right hand, it doesn't matter if you're left hand. It's going to be right down the center. So kind of work your saw in there, get it in there just like that. You can also hold it with your fingers, just so kind of a point of reference. And just like that. undo your wing nut there. I might open that up a little bit. You should have two lenses just like this, just like that, okay? Kind of check them, make sure they're the same size, and these are exactly the same size. And these are how your lens is going to go, just like so. Two lenses. All right, so for next what you want to do, doesn't matter which one you start with, grab your sandpaper board here, and we're going to take off these edges right here. These sharp edges, we don't want them getting into anybody's eye or poking into their cheek or their nose. So we're going to take those off. The best thing and the best way to do it is take the point, put it right on the sandpaper, and then you're going to kind of make round motions, and that'll get it off really quick. Watch what I'm doing here. Okay, you can see, just like that. It's very round and it's done very quickly. And this one isn't too sharp, but we do want to take that off a little bit, just like that. And lastly, we got that last point. Okay, and there's that one. Round on all those edges, and we're going to do the other one just exactly the same way. Okay, so we got both of the glasses, both of the lenses rounded on all the edges. What you might do now is just sand that top part down a little bit to make sure that's smooth and the edges that were cut are a little bit smooth. Get that, just like that. Same thing on that side. Nice and smooth, okay. So now you got two lenses that are nice and round. Look really, really good there. Your next tool you're going to use is what we call the scraper. This edge is a hacksaw blade that has been sanded down. It makes a kind of a square edge here, really sharp, that can makes the lenses nice and smooth, so it feels really good on your face. What you want to do is make sure when you're using this that you use the center of it. Don't use it on the edge, because what can happen a lot of times is when you bring it across the lens, if you slip, this little corner here will come right across the center of it and it'll scratch the lens, and that means you got to start all over again, and I know you don't want to do that, and I don't want you to have to do that. So what you'll start is just like this, and you want to slant it just a little bit. You don't want it square on like that. I like to slant it just a little bit and do it just like this. Once you get pretty good at it, you can go fast, and as you're doing it, just feel it. Make sure that it's getting it nice and soft. Same thing here. Do that. Do it on all the edges, all the way around. Even on, especially right up here. This is the piece. These are how the lens is set. The flat part goes up and the round part is down. And then this part right here, the flat part goes to the inside of the nose, just like this. So you want to make sure this area right here is really nice and soft, because that's what's going to be sitting right on their cheek and on their nose, okay? So we'll make sure that's nice and soft. All the way around. So now we have two lenses exactly the same that are really nice and soft on the edges and are very symmetrical. They're completely opposite of each other, and that's what you should have lenses that look like. What we're going to do now is we're going to take the lenses and insert them into the frame. And the way we do that is we take one lens, I'll remind you that the top part, just like this, the top is flat, and the lenses go just like this. The round area right here is the outside of the lens, and the flat area is towards the nose, okay? So if the lenses are like this, we're going to take one lens and flip it upside down with a flat side towards this metal piece, just like that. And then we take our file and we put it just like this, the same right flat on top of that, and this is right flat on top of that. And we're going to make a little notch, not a big one, just a tiny little notch where we can see it and we can feel it. And we're going to flip it around just like that on the opposite end and do the exact same thing. Whoops. And so you have two little notches, just like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the frame, and the outside of the lens, it fits in just like this. Remember, the top is flat, and then the side that goes in where the nose is flat, and the outside here is round, okay? So we're going to take the outside where the notch is, and we're going to put it right like so, where the lenses are eventually going to fit in there. And also, where this other notch is, we're going to line it up with the bottom of this, because that's where that eventually is going to fit into. And what we're doing right now is we're trying to get the lens in the exact same place as the top of the wire here. So they're both in the same position and they're equal, they're level. So what we do is put it in there and just take a look at it and make sure they're both in the same level. If they are, then what you want to do is you can pull out your lens now, and you can make a straight file right down straight into the lens, and you're going to flip it over and do the same exact thing straight down into the lens. When you do that, you pop it in just like so. Put this in that end, the flat end on this side, and then it actually looks like the lens is too big for the frame, but it's not. It actually creates a really tight fit. You just push it down there and pop it in. Before I go there, though, I want to mention how to adjust the lens in the case when you put it in here just like this, and the lens is too high or the lens is too low. The way that you file the lens is very important. So if the lens is too high, if you put it in there like that, and the lens is too high, and you need to make the lens go a little bit lower into the frame, what you're going to do is you're going to file the lens. Let me show you. You'll take the lens like this, and you're going to file it. This is the top of it. You're going to file it towards the top of the lens, and that'll bring the lens lower. Okay. If the lens is too low in the frame like this, and you need to bring it up, you're going to make the file with the flat part. You want to file towards the bottom of the lens. So if you want the lens to go lower, you want to file towards the bottom of the lens. So I'm going to go ahead and make my file straight into the lens, because we know that these are good. Just like that. You don't want them too far in there. Once you get it in there, the round side goes towards the outside of the frame, just like that. And you're going to push down, pop it in just like that, okay? Grab the other lens, do the exact same thing, flat part down, little notch. Oop. Same thing, little notch. We'll do the measurement here like that and line that up, and it looks pretty good, pretty straight. So we're going to cut straight down into the lens. And we'll cut into the lens just like this. And when you go down into the lenses with the file, you don't want to go all the way in the diameter of the file. You want to make sure that you're in a little less than the whole diameter. So probably it's going to look something like that, if you can see that. You don't want it too far. You just want it just far enough in there like that. Okay, so once that's done, we're going to put the round in on the outside just like that, and then we're going to push that in just like that. And that is how you insert the glasses into the frame. One important point is you want to bend this slightly as the frames are curved. So when you insert those in, it actually creates a little bit of curve that'll press up against the top of the lens. And just like so, and there's that. And that's how you insert the lenses into the frame. So in this section, we're going to adjust the lenses, the comfort of the glasses. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your lenses are tight in the frame. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to squeeze right by the nose pieces, and I'll kind of show you how that's done. Don't ever put your pliers around the glasses. You want to always put it around the wire, so when you squeeze, you're not going to grab the glasses and scratch them. So we'll do a squeeze here by the nose. We'll do another squeeze on this side of the nose, just like so, and then we'll move to the outside of the glasses. Squeeze there and squeeze there. So now the lenses are really, really tight in the frame. They're not moving at all. Okay. One other thing you have to realize too is that you want to make sure that the front of your frame is adjusted first before you start messing with the outside, because if you start adjusting out here and then you move to the inside, anything you change in here is going to skew the outside. So always start here, and remember that anything you do to one side, you do to the other side. It's symmetrical. It's always symmetrical. So we did this, we did this, we did this, and then we did this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to widen up the frames a little bit. We grab a hold of the top of this piece here and we move it out just like so to where it's pointing out. Gives it a little bit more room when you put the glasses on in your temple. Same thing here. We're going to widen it just like so. And just when you take a look at them, just make sure that they're both pointing out the same direction, okay? Next thing you want to do is just kind of take a look once those are done. Take a look at your glasses here, the bottom of them, your two lenses, and make sure that one's not pushed in and the other one's out. Make sure they're completely symmetrical this way. And then also, you just want to make sure that they're straight, so you kind of give them a little bit also slight curve and make sure they're straight on the top. So you'll see, kind of look down on the top, hold them out like this, and see that the wire's straight that way. The lenses are the same area here, they're not skewed, and then they're straight here and everything looks symmetrical. So once you got that done, we're going to close the gap on the ends here. So you grab the bottom of this wire, and then you're going to grab the top of this, and watch what I do here. You're going to take it and close it up just like that. So it looks like this, and you're going to turn around and do the exact same thing on the other side. Grab it, close it just like that. And so you want to make sure that both of the sides are similar or exactly the same. This one needs to be closed just a little bit more, just like that. And it looks pretty good. So now we have the front of the frame, not the earpieces, but the front of the frame is adjusted and it's symmetrical. Now we're going to start working on the earpieces. The first thing we want to do, you'll notice that these are quite wide, and we want to bring the earpieces to where they're straight and square at a 90-degree angle on each side. The way that we do that is you take your coil here, and you'll notice the coil actually, the little piece, the point here stops on this part of the coil right here, okay? And you want to take your pliers, grab a hold of the coil, and you're going to move that stop clockwise, and it actually moves the stopping point of the earpiece. So we're going to grab a hold of the coil and make sure your wire is on top of this right here. This is the stop, and you're going to push it that direction like this. And then see how that brings that in. Now it's at a 90-degree angle. And now we're going to do it to this other side. This one just needs to be done just slightly. So we're going to grab a hold of it just like that. And see, this is the stop here, and we're going to push that towards the inside just like that slightly. And so now they're at the 90-degree angle, and it's square, okay? So now, if you look at the glasses this way, you'll see we've got one going up here and one coming down there. These are exactly the same, but we're going to bring these to where they're level, the same level. And I grab the coil, and I'll push down the top here just a little bit to make that the same angle. So now you have them just like that, the same angle. Also, you want to make sure that the lenses, or the earpieces, these two are at the same angle too. So we've got these two here, exactly the same, just like this, and then the earpieces here are also exactly the same angle. Now what you want to do is, if you want to get it exact, it's called the 4 points. Put it on the table, and you'll also notice that this side here is exactly straight, and this side over here, this piece is a little bit slanted in. And the reason is because of this piece here. It needs to be moved out just a little bit. So we'll grab that, just like so, and we'll turn it out like this, and that should straighten that out. So just a little bit, just like that. Okay, so now that's straightened out. Okay, and the 4 points, we're going to flip them over and take a look and make sure these 2 points and these 2 points are hitting the table, and they are. So next thing, once you find out the glasses are level and straight, everything looks symmetrical, we're going to take this and we're going to bend it. And one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to grab it right in the middle and make a bend. You want to grab the outside like this and do like a rainbow, just like that. So on this point and on this point. So you grab this close up to the coil and out here like this, and create a rainbow just like that. And make sure, just take a look at it, you can see they're both the exact same angle, pushing in towards each other, just like that. The next thing you want to do is you're going to take a look and see how the glasses close. We're going to close them just like that. And if you see that, they're a little bit off, so we're going to make an adjustment. The way that we adjust them is we'll start with one side. If it's a little bit too high, you're going to take the coil once again, and you're going to move it, you're going to twist it this way, just like that. And see, that brought that one down. We want that one to be the same level. So we're going to close it and twist it just like so. And a little bit more. I think we're there. So they're exactly the same. You can kind of see that. Now, once we get them closed like that, we're going to bring them back to this level. When I made that last adjustment, it kind of skewed it just a little bit. So I'm going to grab this and bring it down just a little bit. Okay. In addition, you'll notice that this one is a little bit tighter than this one now, so we might need to move this in just a tiny bit. Okay. And so you'll notice now we've got these points, glasses here, these are straight, symmetrical. We're going to flip it over. And we got 2 points there. This one and the 2 points here, they're hitting the table, so everything is nice and straight. Okay, so the last thing we want to do is we're going to grab the end pieces here. One of the things I want to point out too is make sure this PVC is going over the end of that wire, because the last thing you want to do is have somebody poke themselves in the eye. You just got them a new pair of glasses and you poke them in the eye, they're not going to be able to see. That's not very good. So make sure that piece is over the end of the wire there, just like that. And then you're going to grab this and the end of the end of the PVC here, and you're going to bend it out away from the frame. You'll see what I did here, just like that. Grab it and just slightly bend it out of the way. Same thing on this one here. Slightly bend it out of the way. That way, when you're putting on the glasses, that these are pointed away from your eyes. So when you're putting on the glasses, just like that, and that's a nice pair of glasses. Well, thanks for watching. I'm sure you have a great pair of glasses now. Hope you use these glasses in this ministry to bless others. Our main priority, of course, is to spread the gospel to the nations. That's why we exist. We want to be a blessing to those around us, bring eyesight physically to people, but also spiritually. We want them to see Jesus. And we hope you have the same vision as us. Just want to thank you again. If you need any more information about the ministry, please visit us on the web at glassesformissions.org. Thanks again. question that we get a lot is, can we use the glasses to actually sell them or create some type of a micro business? And my answer to that question is this, is that our purpose in this ministry is to evangelize, is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we want people to have an opportunity to hear that. So we give the glasses away for free in order to get people in to hear the gospel presentation. There are ministries that do use things and they create micro businesses for people, but we're not one of those ministries. Our purpose is solely to share the gospel with the lost and hurting of this world. A question that we get is, are we able to help people that are nearsighted, or those are the people that can't see far off very well? Unfortunately, at this time, we're not able to do that. We have reading glasses and reading glasses alone, which 70 to 75% of the people who have problems with their eyes can be helped with reading glasses. So we do the best we can with what we have, and right now we are just offering reading glasses. Another question that we get is, can you prescribe different lenses for each eye? At this point, we don't recommend that. We just recommend on the eye test itself, it has one power for both eyes. That's the easiest way to do the outreach, and it keeps things really simple. So as far as we're concerned, we don't recommend doing that. It really can complicate things. We just want to keep it simple for you guys, and in order to do that, when you're prescribing glasses, you just do the best you can with what you have, and that's one power for both eyes.